All riches possible using miracle power consciousness of metaphysics. You can use the miracle power consciousness for many different purposes in life. You may want to become an outstanding success in the business or professional world and build a vast fortune. You can use this power for this purpose. There is nothing wrong with utilizing the riches that are in the universe. They were given to man by the Creator and should be used intelligently. The Bible speaks of the love of money being the root of all evil. It does not say money itself is evil. It is the greedy, selfish person who accumulates a fortune for his own self-aggrandizement who is sinful. If you use the miracle power consciousness to attract a fortune and use your money intelligently, you can be as rich as you wish to be. How to build the rich consciousness? There is a law in metaphysics which is called the law of cause and effect. It is also referred to as action and reaction. There can be no effect without a predisposing cause. If you want to become rich and successful, you must set the causes into motion, which will lead to the effect of producing riches. This is a law in everything in the mental and physical worlds. What is consciousness? It is the state of being conscious, of having awareness. It is the totality of one's thoughts, feelings, and experiences. A rich consciousness must first be created before you can truly enjoy the blessings of life. This consciousness can be built even if you are poor and do not have any material resources. Example: a man who has never been exposed to any artistic or cultural experience might go to the Metropolitan Museum in New York City, where there are magnificent art treasures from all over the world. He might enjoy the experience a great deal, but it is unlikely that he will really understand what he sees or fully appreciate the works of art. Why? Because his consciousness has never been fully developed in relation to art. A person who has studied art, who has read books on the lives of the artists, and who knows something about symmetry, composition, form, and color, will appreciate the beautiful paintings more than one unversed in this knowledge of great art. The rich consciousness must first be built before you can truly enjoy the free riches of life, or attract the material abundance which riches represent. If you were rich, what would you do? Let us ask a hypothetical question. If you were really rich, what are some of the things that you would do? You would buy magnificent paintings for your home. You would probably have expensive, leather-bound volumes for your library. You would own a luxurious car with a chauffeur to drive you anywhere you wanted to go. You would travel to foreign places and seek out the pleasures and amusements of nightclubs, horse racing, and yachting. You would frequent the best hotels, eat the finest food, and go to the opera and theater to see fine shows. You can actually live the rich life and enjoy the same things that millionaires enjoy, without being rich. When you once build the rich consciousness, you will enrich your life. And then, if you want a fortune, the miracle power within you can show you how to attain it. Here is how the rich consciousness is built. 1. Be aware of the priceless treasures of life that are all about you and which you can enjoy with very little money. For instance, you cannot own a Rembrandt painting, which would be worth $1 million or more, and which few millionaires can afford to own, but you can buy magnificent reproductions of the greatest art treasures in the world, such as the Mona Lisa, the Blue Boy, the Last Supper, and other great paintings, which can adorn the walls of your home. If you are not near a great art gallery, like the Metropolitan in New York, you can purchase books which reproduce the world's great art treasures and enrich your consciousness by studying the lives and the works of the great artists of the past. 2. You may not have a fine library of leather-bound first editions in your home, but you have access to a public library, which is a repository for the world's greatest literature. Here you may borrow books which you can read and fill your consciousness with the noblest thoughts and inspirations of the greatest literary geniuses of the past and present. Also, most of the finest books are now being reproduced in paper-bound volumes, which almost anyone can afford. 3. Study the lives on great and successful men of history through reading biographies and autobiographies. Then emulate their lives and thoughts. Learn from the mistakes of these men and try to enrich your consciousness by absorbing as much knowledge as you can from their examples and life works. 4. You may not have your own limousine and chauffeur, but what about your local forms of transportation? You can have, for a small sum, a vast streetcar or subway or bus with a liveried chauffeur who does the driving for you. Isn't this as much yours as if you owned it? Then, too, think of how little bother it is. You need not take care of it or put gas in it or worry about repairs. It is all done for you by a vast network of employees that you need never contact. Instead of lamenting the fact you do not have a car, build first the consciousness of riches, which can eventually lead you to owning your own car. 5. You may long for a mansion and landscaped gardens, but did you ever stop to think that you already possess illimitable riches in public parks, zoos, botanical gardens, that no millionaire could ever afford to keep up? I remember in my walks about Bel Air, where I had a home in California for many years, I came to a vast 10-acre estate with a huge wire fence around it, and the words, "Electric Gate, Keep Out," on the front. In the center of this estate was a huge mausoleum of a house. I never saw any people on its rolling lawns. No one was ever out in the yard enjoying the flowers and imported expensive trees and shrubs. It was a lonely and deserted wilderness, and the multimillionaire who lived there was never at home to enjoy his mansion. Surely you can find more happiness in your own comfortable small apartment or home than is represented by this outlay of wealth. You can build a rich consciousness and enjoy the public parks and the beauty of gardens all around you, without ever having to worry about watering the plants or paying the gardeners to keep them up. 6. You may complain that you cannot afford to go to the theater and opera or concerts. Your hometown may not have these special entertainments which only the rich can afford. You need not be rich to have entertainment fit for a king. You have radio and television, which can bring into your home in one evening alone entertainment worth many millions of dollars. With the flip of a dial, you can be personally entertained by such great stars as Jack Benny, Milton Berle, Lucille Ball, Jackie Gleason, Bob Hope, Red Skelton, and Danny Thomas. You can turn to the telephone hour for culture and fine music. You can even have Johnny Carson, Ed Sullivan, and occasionally the Beatles and Elvis Presley, if you want modern entertainment and vaudeville. Then think of the multi-million-dollar movies that you can tune into of an evening. You can be entertained by not only our present stars, but by a youthful John Barrymore, Errol Flynn, Clark Gable, Gary Cooper, and Tyrone Power, who have long since departed this earth. Garbo, Dietrich, Rita Hayworth, Lana Turner come to you in the magic of eternal youth and beauty on your home TV, and it costs you only the initial price of your set. A potentate of the Far East, with all his millions, could never afford the wonder and luxury of a radio or television set. You are already as rich as Midas, but you may not have the consciousness of the abundance you truly possess. The rich universe in which you live. To help you build the miracle power consciousness that can bring you illimitable riches, let us examine the rich universe in which you live. Most people remain in poor circumstances in life because they are not aware of the riches that God has placed here for us to enjoy. Ponder on the following facts the next time you begin to bemoan the fact there are not enough riches for all people. In Russia, there is a forest 3,000 miles square. In that one forest alone, there is enough lumber and building material to build a mansion the size and beauty of the White House in Washington, D.C. for every family in the world. In Brazil, there is a vast area of untapped treasures, where there is more than enough wealth to furnish the world with gold, diamonds, silver, iron, coal, zinc, tin, copper and mahogany, rubber and fruits, to supply the entire world for generations to come. Poverty is in the mind of man, not in God's universe. Then, add to this the wealth that exists in the sea. Now they are finding diamonds, gold, and oil in the seas of the world that promise to furnish mankind with an abundance of treasures for generations to come. Remind yourself constantly that you live in a rich universe, and that everything God created was for you and your loved ones. There is no poverty in nature. Poverty is man-made. The cost of the ships that were sunk at Pearl Harbor alone would have furnished water to nourish the entire desert wastes of the West. Enough produce could have been furnished there alone to feed the starving millions of Asia. $4 billion, the cost of creating one single atom bomb, could have wiped out poverty in America and fed the rest of the world for years. In America alone, we store millions of pounds of butter, dump millions of gallons of milk, oranges, potatoes, and burned produce that could easily feed the entire world. The next time you hear someone speak of the lack and limitation that is in the world, remind them of these facts. Enrich your consciousness by being aware of the true riches that exist in this universe. Soon you will be able to attract all the money you need to furnish you with every luxury and comfort you desire. Do these things to release the miracle power for building a fortune. 1. Absorb as much knowledge as you can about the world in which you live. Study the great examples furnished by men and women of the past. Learn all you can about art, music, literature, science, and invention. Make it a point to learn how rich men have made their fortunes. Go to your public library and get books on the lives of such men as Carnegie, Rockefeller, Mellon, Vanderbilt, Morgan, and Astor. Then try to apply the knowledge you have gathered to your own life. 2. Have a sincere desire to elevate yourself in life. Raise your standards, have high ideals, do things that will carry you a step higher in intellectual and cultural fields. You might enroll in a course in public speaking, study art or music or writing. Go to art galleries and then study books that tell you of the lives of the great artists. You will be better able to attract the finer things of life if you build a consciousness that comprehends worthwhile achievements. 3. Build your sense of awareness of the treasures that you already possess by taking a daily inventory of the riches you now enjoy. On Monday, you might study something about a great artist like Rembrandt or Da Vinci. On Tuesday, you might listen to some fine music by Beethoven or Mozart, and then learn something about the composers' lives by reading books in your library. On Wednesday, you might be aware of the good things on television, instead of lamenting the bad things. Study the life of Edison, Marconi, Sarnoff, the men who made this modern miracle possible. On Thursday, you might enjoy the luxury of the fruits you see in the marketplace or have on your table. Become curious about the man who perfected so many fruits and flowers and vegetables. Study the life of Burbank and see how he used the miracle power of his higher mind to create new forms of fruits and vegetables which enrich your life today. This study regime should continue throughout your entire life and should extend to art, music, literature, history, science, philosophy, psychology, industry, and religion. Soon you will find your consciousness is tremendously enriched, and you will stimulate the response centers of your higher mind, giving you greater power to attract into the orbit of your daily experiences the riches and abundance which you desire. 4. Visualize and imagine the type of world in which you wish to live. Mentally select the home environment in which you believe you would be happiest. Then strive to create as much beauty, charm, and cleanliness in your present environment. Soon you will attract to yourself the right home that you have lived in your imagination. 5. Have an objective in life, a reason for wanting to make a fortune. You may want a beautiful home, a car of your own, a college education for your son or daughter, a fur coat, a small boat. Whatever it is, have the objective clearly in mind. Write it down on a sheet of paper and read it over every day until you have built the consciousness of abundance. Then have the patience to wait for fulfillment of your dream. 6. Clear your mind each night when you retire of all negative thoughts that you have accumulated during the day. Your consciousness is built by an accumulation of ideas and thoughts. If you think you can succeed and attract riches, you will have a better chance than if you tell yourself 100 times a day that you will fail, that there aren't enough riches to go around, or other negative thoughts. 7. Strive to be worthy of the best that life has to offer. Build your consciousness of quality and riches by wearing the best clothes you can afford. Eat in the restaurants that represent quality. Choose your entertainment on television or movies with the intention of improving the quality of your mind. Read good books. Be conversant with the classics of the past in art, music, and literature, as well as the modern trends in these fields. 8. Use the riches you now possess and appreciate and enjoy the free gifts of life. Sunshine, fresh air, beautiful flowers, smiling faces of children, music, good food, friends and loved ones. These emotional values are also riches of the spirit, and they should not be neglected while you search for material treasures and possessions. A test to determine your state of consciousness. Your answers to the following questions will determine to what degree you have achieved the enrichment of your consciousness. If your scoring is low at present, do not be discouraged, but strive to achieve a higher rating through re-studying this chapter. To determine your grade, give yourself credit for 10 points on each question that you answer yes. If your score is 90%, it is excellent. 80% to 90% is very good. 70% to 80% is fair. 1. Do you spend at least 1 hour a day in improving your mind by studying things that pertain to your personality? This includes your voice, your manners, and the social graces. 2. Do you appreciate and enjoy good music? 3. Do you read books considered classics? Books by writers such as Dickens, Shakespeare, Victor Hugo, Dumas, Milton, Dante. 4. Do you seek out friends who are cultured and refined? 5. Do you try to keep your present home neat, clean, and orderly? 6. Are you utilizing the riches that you already possess fully? 7. Do you visit your local museums, art galleries, and cultural institutions often? 8. Do you try to raise your standards and avoid doing things that are common, cheapening and coarsening to your personality? 9. Do you select your clothing with taste and an eye to quality and style? 10. Do you spend at least half an hour a day in meditation and contemplation of the mystery of life, searching for beauty, goodness, truth, happiness, and love?